I feel the most improved in science because my grade is much better than it was last year, and I am proud of having an advanced art class every year of middle school.
This year, I think I improved the most on ceramics. And I think I got way better at soccer this year because in the championships I scored a goal.
Next year, I hope to keep working hard in my school and sports. I'm proud of accomplishing my middle school years and having a lot of success during it.
I'm proud of my participation in NJHS and my acceptance into Shark Scholars. I'll never forget this year because I got to play in the guitar ensemble.
The most thing I improved in school was math because I got better at it, and it was also the class I enjoyed the most because Mr. Walters made me pass through it, and hopefully next year I'll succeed.
I'll never forget this year because it was my last year of middle school and I made so many new friends and it was a really great experience. Something important that I learned this year is to always try my best even if school gets hard academically.
Next year I hope to keep working hard on my schoolwork so I can get into a good college. I will never forget this year because it is my last year in the middle school and there's many things that I learned that will help me in life.
Next year, I hope to keep working hard on my schoolwork so I can start setting myself up for college. I will never forget this year because I made so many incredible memories in DC that I will remember forever.
Throughout middle school, I feel the most improved in English because I've learned many new useful tools that I could use in high school and the rest of my life. I enjoyed robotics the most because I've learned so many new cool things to do and I've worked on many cool projects. I'm going to miss middle school a lot.
I will never forget this year because of our fun trip to DC, and what I enjoyed the most about this year was No Tech Thursday because I got to connect with my friends and eat ice cream.
Something I enjoyed the most was the soccer team because it was fun. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is the varsity soccer, and next year I hope to be better.
What I enjoyed the most this year was the Washington, D.C. trip because I got time to spend with my friends. And something I'll never forget was to treat people the way you want to be treated.
Something I'm proud of is having good grades and making new friends. Something I'll never forget is how hard I tried this year.
Something I enjoyed this year was having fun with my friends and learning. And also, what I learned about myself this year was that I can actually do good in math.
What I enjoyed this year was going to MPAs with the middle school chorus because it was the first time I ever went to MPAs or a chorus competition, and it was extremely exciting. Something I learned about myself this year was that I was extremely self-critical. I will never forget this year because I feel like I really grew as a person this year.
Something I learned about myself this year is that I got better grades than I anticipated. I would never forget this year because being in a new school allowed me to have more educational opportunities.
What I enjoyed the most was going to DC because it was a great learning experience. I'll never forget this year because I made some great new friends.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year is that I have very good grades in all my classes, and what I enjoy most is PE because I get to spend time with my friends and do the sports I love.
This year I feel most improved in math and science because I'm getting really good grades, and I will never forget this year because I went to a lot of trips and made new friends, and it's the last year of middle school.
What I enjoyed most this year was my meet for cross country at States, and something I'll never forget this year was meeting new people and just making new friends.
What I enjoyed most about middle school was lunch because I got to hang out and talk with my friends. I also enjoyed robotics because I could work with my friends, and it was really fun.
What I enjoyed the most this year was Washington, D.C. because I got to be with all of my friends while learning interesting stuff. Also, something I'm proud of was building a robot because I thought it was going to be really hard, but I managed to do it.
Something I accomplished this year was that we won the middle school championship, and next year I hope that we make it to GEICO.
I will never forget this year because of the amazing people I met. And something I look forward to next year is having a great freshman experience and gaining straight A's.
What I enjoyed the most this year were the food trucks because we got a break and had fun in school. I will never forget this year because I made so many memories with my friends.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year was being able to manage being on the track team and making a 3D printed card that actually works. And I also learned that I like to play the bass.
Something important that I learned this year was how to give a speech in front of many people without being nervous. And something I'm proud of accomplishing was keeping up my good grades.
Something important that I learned this year was how to write a speech, and next year I hope to get all A's. Also, something that I feel achieved on this year was getting all good grades in all my classes.
I feel most improved in organization because I now have all my work in specific folders, and something I'm proud of accomplishing is making the basketball team.
Something I learned this year was to manage my time correctly. Something I'm proud of this year is getting in NJHS.
I will never forget this year because it was interesting, and something I am proud of accomplishing is getting through the year.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing is my immaculate grades and keeping them as high as possible, and I'm proud that I improved in math because I struggled a little bit with it, and this year I am much better.
I will never forget this year of middle school because this is the last year of my middle school experience. Also, next year I am hoping to get better grades.
I feel like I improved the most in math because I studied more and I got better grades. And next year I hope to improve in all my classes.
I feel the most improved in English because we learned a lot of new things this year. What I enjoyed most was learning new things because I started getting better grades. And something I'm proud of accomplishing is good grades and getting into NJHS.
What I enjoyed most about 8th grade was going outside with my friends in break and playing basketball. I also enjoyed study hall because I got to do all my homework that I missed, and I got to be with all my friends.
I feel the most improved in art because they had taught me a lot about shading. What I enjoyed most this year was hanging out with my friends, and I am most proud about my grades.
I feel the most I've improved in is art because I've learned more about it and anatomy and how to draw different animals. What I enjoyed most this year is making memories with my friends and meeting new people and also learning about different cultures and things that are happening in the world.
I will never forget this year because of going on the DC trip. Something I'm proud of doing is getting good grades in all my classes, and next year I hope to become the best student I can.
I feel the most improved in English this year because I've learned a lot of new stuff about my writing, and next year I hope to learn even more about my strengths and weaknesses.
Something I want to accomplish next year is doing better in state, and something that I will never forget about this year was the amazing teachers I've had and amazing friends I've been able to meet.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year is getting good grades. Next year I hope to excel in my academics. I will never forget this year because I had a great time on the DC trip.
I will never forget this year because of all my great teachers. And next year I hope to learn more about programming and science.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing is becoming the president of NJHS. Next year I hope to be successful and make many new friends.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing is learning an instrument in about a month. I'll never forget this year because it was my last year in the middle school. Next year I hope to continue doing what I enjoy doing here at U School. Something I feel I've improved this year is guitar because I've been practicing a lot. Next year I hope to improve my grades, and I'll never forget this year because it was my first year at U School.
What I enjoyed most about this year was the DC trip. I will never forget this year because I was in a great environment with great teachers. Next year I hope to do well in high school.
I will never forget this year because it's our last year of childhood before we go off to high school, and that's really meaningful. Next year I hope to improve myself as a person.
What I enjoyed most about this year was the DC trip because I had a lot of fun with my friends. And something that I'm proud of accomplishing is being a part of student council.
Something I'm proud of this year is being eligible for NJHS, and something I enjoyed from this year is going to Washington with my friends.
I feel the most improved in math because I've improved my study skills, and I enjoyed the most the DC trip because I made many memories with my friends while still learning a lot of things about the U.S.
I am proud of accomplishing building a robot. Next year I hope to get an A in Spanish. And my favorite thing this year was break because I get to play basketball with my friends.
I will never forget this year because I made lots of amazing new friends, and I'm really proud of myself for being the NJHS historian, and this year I joined the lacrosse team, which was so much fun.
I feel the most improved in math because I have a good teacher this year.
What I enjoyed the most was the DC trip because I was with my friends.
Something that I'm proud of accomplishing is being able to improve my grades, and something that I learned about myself this year was that I'm pretty good at Spanish and speaking it.
This year I feel I improved most in math because I spent more time practicing, and I learned that I'm pretty okay at English.
What I enjoyed the most was the Washington, D.C. trip because I got a lot closer with all of my friends. Next year, I hope to excel in all of my classes.
I will never forget this year because of the Washington, D.C. trip. I feel the most improved in math because we have learned a lot of new techniques, and next year I hope to continue improving in each class.
This year I feel most improved in math because my teacher really cares about me this year, and something that I'm proud that I accomplished is science fair because that was really hard.
The most thing I enjoyed this year was playing outside with my friends, and I'll never forget going on DC trip, hanging out with my friends, and having a lot of fun.
This year I feel the most improved in math because I learned a lot of new skills. I will never forget this year because of the DC trip.
I will never forget this year because of the Washington, D.C. trip. Something I'm very proud of accomplishing is making the varsity basketball team.
I feel most improved in math because this year I got an honors. Another thing I want to do next year is to be able to pass 9th grade.
This year I feel most improved in my leadership and collaboration skills. Next year I hope to excel in all my classes as well as get good grades.
Something I loved this year was digital photography. It was very fun and something I loved doing. Another thing I loved this year was 8th grade. I can't wait to go to high school though.
I will never forget this year because it is my last year of middle school. Next year I hope to talk with more people outside my current friend group and make new friends.
I will never forget this year because I made so many new friends. I feel like I improved most in responsibility because my teachers pushed me and I was able to accomplish all the things I wanted to.
Next year I hope to maintain good grades and have fun in high school. I'm never going to forget this year because it's my last year of middle school.
Something important that I learned to do this year was to write proper debates and make compelling arguments. This was very useful to me during my debate class and in my tournaments, and I'm also very proud of graduating middle school here at NSU.
I will never forget this year because, like many others, it is my last year of middle school. I have also made really good friends this year, and I hope to make new next year.
I will never forget this year because I was new to the school, and my favorite part of this year was yearbook because it was different compared to the rest of my classes.
Something I am proud of accomplishing is schoolwork. Next year I have to make new friends. I had a fun time and made great memories.
Something I learned about myself is I'm smarter in math than I expected. Next year I hope to have over 17 touchdowns. Something I'll never forget is it's my last year of middle school.
I feel most improved on math this year because I can do algebraic equations. Something that I learned that was important this year is that I have very loving parents. And something that I learned about myself this year is that friendship is very important.
What I improved the most of this year is science because last year I wasn't in honors and I ended with an A this year. Next year I hope to be successful in basketball, and something I was proud of accomplishing is almost getting straight A's with all of my honors classes.
What I enjoyed the most was TV production because I learned how to edit. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is academics and athletics. Next year, I hope to do good in high school and send it.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing is academics and athletics. Next year, I hope to do good in school and send it. I will never forget this year because of the DC trip.
What I enjoyed most this year was the Washington, D.C. trip because it was so fun to go on a trip. Next year, I hope to become a more responsible student, and I will never forget this year because it was the best last year in the middle school.
This year I improved the most in math class. I enjoyed making a cardboard chair, and I'll never forget this year because the Washington, D.C. trip was a lot of fun.
I will never forget this year because of the Washington trip. It was so much fun. Next year I hope to keep working hard and being focused so this will get me far in life. Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year is getting all A's in my classes. Something I learned this year was algebra, and something I hope to get next year is get into FAU High.
I feel the most improved in my academics because I learned so much this year. What I enjoyed most was Miss Mark's class because she is such a fun, nice, and understanding teacher.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year is going to a speech tournament. Next year, I hope to get all A's and make it to honors, and I will never forget this year because it's my first year in a new school.
Something I learned about myself is that I become a better writer. Something I hope for next year is to get straight A's. Something that I'm proud of accomplishing is becoming a better student and learning many new things.
What I enjoyed most was the Washington, D.C. trip because I enjoyed being with my friends and visiting the monuments. I will never forget this year because it was my last year in the middle school.
I feel the most improved in English because I practiced it a lot. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is keeping my grades up.
I'll never forget this year because I did so many things that were out of my comfort zone that I usually wouldn't do. Next year, I hope to excel in all my classes and make more friends.
I will never forget this year because of all the true friends I've made and the great teachers I've had. One thing that I enjoyed this year was the Washington, D.C. trip because it was an amazing, fun experience.
Something I'm really proud of accomplishing is getting into NJHS and getting good grades. I'll never forget this year because of the amazing friendships I've made.
I will never forget this year because it was my final year of middle school. Next year I hope to do good in school, and something I'm proud of accomplishing is middle school.
What I enjoyed most this year was the DC trip because I had a lot of fun. I will never forget this year because it's the last year of middle school.
Something that I'm proud of accomplishing is making it into NJHS, and next year I hope to be in better classes, and I enjoy Washington, D.C. because I got to be with my friends.
Something I improved in this year was math because the teacher helped me a lot. I will never forget this year because it was my first year in new school.
I'll never forget this school year because it was my last year of middle school and I had amazing teachers. Next year, I hope to make the honor roll and make the football team.
I will never forget this year because of the DC trip and how much fun it was. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is making the JV volleyball team.
I'll never forget this year because I made a lot of new friends. Next year I hope to get all A's and B's and make the student honor roll. I feel most improved in English because she goes through the work with me and gives me good feedback.
What I enjoyed most this year was my friends because of all the amazing memories we made. So, something I'm proud of accomplishing is my good grades most of the time. And something I'll never forget was how fast this year went by.
What I enjoyed most this year was going on the DC trip because I got a lot closer with all my friends. Something I learned this year was to always pay attention no matter what. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is getting 100 on all my quizzes.
Something important I learned this year was to trust the right people. What I enjoyed the most was the DC trip because I had fun with all my friends. And I will never forget this year because I met a lot of new people and made new friends.
What I enjoyed most this year was the DC trip because I had so much fun with my friends and created a lot of memories. Next year I hope to get better grades and be able to concentrate more on my studies.
I will never forget this year because I am new student. I have felt welcome here. Next year I hope to do good in my class in the high school.
I will never forget this year. It's my first year come here, and the people is very friendly to me. I will miss the middle school.
I feel most improved in academics because I had good teachers that taught me well. Next year I hope to keep up my good grades. I'll never forget this year because of the Washington, D.C. trip.
An accomplishment I am proud of is being accepted into the National Junior Honor Society. And this year I enjoyed the Washington, D.C. trip the most because of how much fun I had with my friends.
What I enjoyed the most was the Washington trip because I had fun with my friends. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is getting into the Shark Scholars.
What I enjoyed the most this year was going to all the varsity football games and hanging out with all my friends, and something I'm proud of is getting really good grades in school.
I feel the most improved in life because I successfully started a club. Something I learned about myself this year was that I like school. I will never forget this year because of all the amazing memories I made.
What I enjoyed most this year was traveling to the UK, China, and Washington because travel is educational. Something I am proud of accomplishing is learning 6 new songs on the guitar. I'll never forget this year because of all the great friends and memories that I've made.
I enjoyed the DC trip the most because it was fun and I made many new memories, I made new friends, and next year I hope to get good grades.
Next year, I hope to be successful. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is getting an A in math. And what I enjoyed the most was lunch because it tastes good.
Something I enjoyed the most this year was the DC trip because it was very fun. And something I'm proud of accomplishing is winning the soccer championship.
I feel the most improved in English because I improved my reading skills. I'm proud of accomplishing my good grades, and I will never forget this year because of the new friendships I've made.
Something important I learned this year was how to debate. Something I learned about myself was that it's okay to fail. Next year, I hope to keep up my good grades.
This year, my biggest accomplishment was getting into NJHS. Next year, I hope to keep up my good grades and drive a car. And what I learned this year is that it's okay to fail.
I feel most improved in math because I learned algebra this year, and what I most enjoyed was PE because I like sports, and next year I hope to get on the basketball team.
What I enjoyed most this year was PE because I like sports. I will never forget this year because it is my last year in middle school. Next year I hope to do well in all of my classes.
Something I'm proud of this year was TV production. Next year I hope to get honor roll. And I will never forget this year because I made a lot of friends.
My proudest moment this year is when I made a clay slab and a 3D printed car for my classes. I'll never forget this year because it's my last year in middle school.
I will never forget this year because it's my last year in middle school, and next year I will be moving to a new building. Next year I hope to drive a car, and I really enjoyed the DC trip this year.
Something I'm very proud of is becoming the NJHS secretary. I will never forget this year because I have made so many new friends and new memories with them.
I feel that I most improved in was science because my teacher helped me out a lot, and I loved all the units we worked on. And also, my biggest accomplishment this year was getting into NJHS.
I feel I improved the most in English this year because my reading level boosted up a lot, and I enjoyed yearbook the most because I got to be with my friends and make the whole yearbook.
Next year I hope to be in all AP classes and like different clubs so I can be involved with everyone. And I'll never forget this year because this year taught me that I'm a very strong person and I'm not so weak and that I'm just strong in different situations.
This year I enjoyed DC the most because it was super fun to be with all my friends and learn about our capital. Next year I hope to have fun and get good grades and meet new people.
What I enjoyed this year was robotics because we built robots and got to participate in competitions. Next year I hope to do better in math so I can get into higher classes.
Something I learned about myself this year was that if you work hard, you will be successful. And I will never forget this year because this is my last year in middle school and I've made so many memories.
This year I feel most improved in Chinese because I can have longer and more intricate conversations. One of the best things about this school year was the amazing trip to China.
What I enjoyed the most this year was making new friends and meeting new people because now I have memories that will last forever. I will never forget this year because I went to the Capitol and I learned many new things.
I will never forget the Junior State Thespians trip this year. I am most proud of accomplishing my one-act tech and makeup design superiors, and I will never forget all the new friends I've made and inside jokes with them.
I will never forget this year because I got a new friend group and made great friends. Next year, I hope to get better grades and stay friends with my current friends.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year was winning the Think Award in robotics for my code and winning the geography bee, and next year I hope to win the state of Florida.
What I enjoyed most this year was making new friends because they are the best ones. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is making a cookie jar in ceramics. And next year I hope to do good in all my classes.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year is having better grades and making a lot of nice friends. Next year I hope to make even more friends, especially ones that are nice.
I will never forget this year because of all my great teachers. Next year I hope to make a lot of memories, and I am proud of being the captain of the soccer team.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing is graduating 8th grade. Something important I learned this year was to always make new friends. And next year I hope to excel in all my classes.
Something important that I learned this year was how to write a personal narrative in English class. I will never forget this year because of the memories made in digital photography.
I had a lot of fun in 8th grade this year.
Some things I learned in English class was how to become a better writer. I also had a lot of fun on the Washington, D.C. trip.
Something important I learned this year was science and math because I want to be a vet when I grow up and I need those two topics. And something fun this year was the DC trip because I got to see a lot of new monuments.
What I enjoyed the most was the DC trip because I had lots of fun. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is getting to NJHS. I will never forget this year because I made many new friends.
Something important that I learned this year was graphing on a line graph for math. I will never forget this year because I made so many new friends and I met so many amazing teachers that helped me with a bunch of my work. And next year I'm looking forward to making new friends and meeting new people and getting better grades in all my classes.
I'll never forget this year because it was the first year of HSCL. Something new I learned about myself was that I like MOBAs, and something that I really enjoyed this year was that I like coding because it's one of my interests.
Something I enjoyed this year was going on the DC trip because I got to go on a vacation with all my friends. I'll never forget this year because of all the new friends I made and all the great teachers I had.
What I enjoyed the most was the DC trip because it was so much fun. Something I am proud of is being on the lacrosse team and an NJHS.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing is being an NJHS. Next year, I hope to stay with straight A's. I will never forget this year because I made many new friends.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year is being an NJHS. I enjoyed the most was getting the opportunity to learn new things in the middle school. I'm happy and will never forget all the new friends I made and can't wait to go to high school.
I'm glad I got to go to States and with Thespians and my friends, and I'm going to miss Thespians, of course, and NJHS, and I'm excited for high school.
Something I learned this year about myself was that if I had a goal, I can accomplish it, and if I've put my mind on something, I can accomplish it. And something I will never forget this year is the Washington trip. I learned a lot about history and made a lot of good friendships.
I feel the most improved on all subjects because I did a good job in all classes this year. Something important that I learned this year was do good in school. And what I enjoyed the most was math because it's my favorite subject.
Something important that I learned this year was how to manage my time. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is getting good grades in all my classes, and next year I hope to keep my good grades and academic achievements.
What I enjoyed the most this year was Career Day because I got to learn all about the different jobs. Next year I hope to get good grades to be an NHS.
Throughout middle school, I felt that I have improved in my friendships, academics, and hope to make more friends in high school, and I'm going to miss the middle school.
I'm very proud of this year because I completed all of my midterms. Next year, I'm happy to go to high school, and I'll never forget this year because it taught me a lot.
Something that I learned about myself this year is that I'm very good at math in my algebra class, and next year I hope to get good grades and play on the football team.
I feel the most improved in English because I've learned many new ways to write. Something important that I learned this year was that it's super easy to make friends. And next year, I hope to be a part of many different clubs.
I will never forget this year because the Washington trip was really fun. And next year, I hope to get really good grades and do better in school.
What I enjoyed most this year was my friendship as they were there for me when I needed the most. And something I learned this year was I can get really sensitive, but there are guidance counselors, friends, and parents that help me a lot.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year is being an NJHS. I will never forget this year because it was my last year of middle school.
Something important that I learned this year was that it's okay to fail. What I enjoyed the most was the 8th grade trip because I had so much fun with my friends. And next year I hope to keep up my good grades.
I feel most improved in sports because I'm really good at it and I'm ranked. And next year I hope that I get better grades than what I have now. And bye.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Next year I hope to get into NJHS, and I will never forget this year because I met a lot of new friends and I learned how to stay on top of my work and get better grades.
Next year I hope to strive in school and basketball. What I enjoyed the most this year was the DC trip because I had a lot of fun with my friends. Something important that I learned this year was the real meaning of friendship.
Next year, I hope to accomplish more in the arts, and I will never forget this year because of the DC trip, and it was my last year middle school, so I learned a lot about leadership.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year is being a part of NJHS. I will never forget this year because of all the new friendships I have made.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing is putting my mind to something that I worked on and getting a good thing on it. And I loved going to Washington, D.C. this year because I got to hang out with my friends and also learned a lot about history.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing is being a part of NJHS and helping. Next year I hope to be the best in high school, and I will never forget this year because of the Washington, D.C. trip.
I feel most improved in science because I was never very good at it, and now I have a really good grade. I will never forget this year because we went to DC and it was so much fun. Next year, I hope I have good grades and keep the friends that I have now.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing this year is being a part of the student council. My favorite memory from this year is the DC trip.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing is writing moment-to-moment stories that are actually really good. And something I enjoy is lunch, is because I don't have to do work and I can relax and hang out with friends.
Something I'm proud of is making the basketball team this year. Something I hope to do next year is to make the JV A-team basketball team. Something I'm proud of is making many new friends this year.
I will never forget this year because I was on student council. Something I learned about myself was being a better friend. Something important that I learned this year was moving on from my mistakes and trying harder for the results I want.
Something that I learned this year was how to enjoy reading. Something I'm proud of accomplishing is getting good grades. I will never forget this year because it was really fun.
Something I'm proud of accomplishing is getting good grades and becoming more social. Next year I hope to make new friends, and I will never forget this year because I am new and I'm making new friends.
I feel the most improved in guitar because this year they taught me how to express myself with writing songs. Something I learned about myself this year is that I really need to work on some subjects that I'm having trouble with. And next year I hope to get better grades in my classes.
This year, what I enjoyed most was Washington because I got to visit museums with my friends. And I will never forget this year because it was my first year and I made many new friends.
Next year I hope to get better grades in all my classes, and something that I learned that was important was how to fix my mistakes and correct them.
What I enjoyed the most this year was baseball because it was very fun and I learned a lot of stuff. And something I'm proud of accomplishing is passing Ms. Marks' English class.
I feel most improved in studying effectively, and I'm proud of accomplishing becoming more independent.
Something I learned this year was empathy. Next year I hope to make JV basketball. Something I will never forget this year is because it's my last year in middle school.